Friends, colleagues and listeners, quick announcement, a live face-to-face conference at long last. 5th to the 7th of September, it's going to be at the Grand Hyatt in Athens, and I'm talking about the Air Cargo Handling Logistics Conference, which also has Air Freight Pharma in association with Cool Chain, AGS, Airline Ground Services, in association with ASA Leadership Forum, and on top of that, we've got ULD Care. Des Fatanis is going to be the chairman, myself and Stan Rafe, co-moderators. Hard talk, direct questions, great panel, great speakers. Please join us, and all details are shown below in the link. Friends, colleagues and listeners, here we are. We've got another show today, and I'm glad to have somebody who I've got a lot of time and affection for, Mr. Rupert. I'm just calling him Mr. Rupert today because everybody knows who he is. Rupert, it's an absolute privilege and pleasure to have you on again, mate. Really looking forward.
Thank you, Chris. It's most enjoyable to be here.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I know there's normally, there should have been three of us, but the one that got away, Mr. Ambridge, lucky old him, he's on the golf course this week, all week. So fair play to you, mate. That's putting the priorities right. And I think that's where we should be, Rupert, actually. But anyhow. Yeah. Without further ado, we're just going to have a little chat, and something that I know we've spoken about, Rupert. We don't want to come across as being negative anyway, in any way, and you know, these are just discussion points and hopefully food for thought for people out there, but also, you know, to encourage people to change, to do things differently, and not be frightened of moving away from the status quo. And somebody sent me a little book, and I thought you're the first person that I'd like to show it to, because it reminded them of me, and now it reminds me of you. It's a lovely little book. So if anybody wants to purchase it, okay. And it really is. It's a little thin one. It's very simple, and it's all about. It's all about just a set of leadership tools that will help anybody succeed, whatever your goal. And that was written. That commentary was written by Sir Clive Woodward. Who, for those of you who know, was the successful manager of England's rugby
World Cup 2003. Yeah, he was the manager.
Yep, he's good. Yep, for strategic, tactical, everything. So, Rupert, today, being positive, I think I'm just going to make a little statement now. I think a lot more of us now need to learn to love the game again, and not just be driven by results. And I'm not talking about, you know, positive results or profits, etc. Just that, you know, our industry now, we seem to be driven by these numbers, and sometimes people don't even know what they mean or why they're there. Instead of everybody enjoying what we're doing. So
I think you're right. I mean, what's the saying? You can't manage what you don't know. So yes, you do need numbers. You do need performance management. You do need to understand it, but it mustn't be the only thing. And you've got to remember, I think, and in this day of IT where we think that's the answer to everything, we're actually forgetting that there's people that do this underneath it. So yeah, if your IT system's great and your people are rubbish, guess what? Your number's going to be crap. So maybe you focus on the people a bit.
Yeah. No, I agree, Rupert. I think with everything that's been going on now over the last, several months, but also people had a window of what was coming, you know, with the shortages of staff, and now, you know, companies just paying people to come and join them, and that's short term. You know, if people don't start to look after the hygiene elements of motivation, like the environment, like, you know, the conditions, like, you know, making people feel part of something and giving them a storyline, it's going to cause more problems longer term.
I must admit, I thought, okay, on the passenger side, that's in the international press at the moment, that they can't get people. And part of the reasons they give is people have gone away and they've found more comfortable jobs with a bit more money. So they're not on minimum wage in January on the ramp anymore. They're in a fulfillment center on more money in the nice and warm. Why would you want to come back? So, you know, I think the days of a 22 quid one-way fare on EasyJet are numbered, because that's not sustainable, because you just drive down the costs everywhere else to make that happen. And then you don't get good people. So now they're rushing people in to the industry. And that rush scares me, because are they going to be trained? And is our industry going to be as safe as it was, with lots of brand new faces who they've rushed in under the desire to get some money back after they lost millions in COVID. I mean, I don't like what I see at the moment. It's quite embarrassing to be industry when, I don't care what they say, the airlines just rushed back into the air. I don't think had a decent dialogue with their suppliers, their ground handlers, and then now they're just blaming each other because they weren't ready. It's obvious. You don't have a bloody 4-hour queue at Bristol Airport if you're ready.
No, I mean, it is shocking to see, isn't it? And
terrible. It's embarrassing.
What you said. One of the things that shocked me more than a lot of things was that there was a headline: Lufthansa cancelling 1,000 flights. For someone, I'm thinking, God Almighty, that would never happen. But I mean, I suppose fair play to them. At least they cancelling them well in advance, whereas the ones that were being cancelled short term.
My point is, Chris. My point is, let's look at Lufthansa. If some of those flights are cancelled out of Frankfurt, their home base, they're self-handling. Yeah. So they don't even have to talk to a third-party supplier. They talk to themselves. So why do their salespeople think they could get all these planes in the air when they obviously weren't ready? So they didn't even have an internal conversation. Yeah. I mean,
that's exactly the point. Is that it's the preparation, and everybody was anticipating a huge tsunami of demand again, which is what's happened.
Yeah.
And now, to be in a position where you can't fulfill that, it's a shame. It's a shame.
It's a terrible indictment of our industry, and it's going to do it. It's already been damaged terribly during COVID. And just when they're coming out of it, they've shot themselves in the foot. I know now that in the UK, there's people going, I might have another staycation because I ain't booking my summer holiday to go to the airport and live with that. So I'm going to stay at home again. So the demand will fizzle out because they can't service it properly.
Yeah, no, it is terrible, and anyway. This fear of, do you know what I mean? It's fear of making a step, making a jump. You hear the politicians blaming the industry blaming the politicians. But at the end of the day, I also believe now a lot more people should be back in the workplace and not working from home and not having such an easy opportunity not to be at work.
I mean, we've had the British government having a go at the aviation industry here. And then the aviation industry says, we're struggling to get people. They don't want to come back. Can you let us have some of our old East European colleagues that went home? And the government went, no. So great help, thanks.
Yeah. No, I also believe there should be a lot more collaboration and awareness of what's gone on and open it up a little bit, and even if they have to do it under certain conditions, but open it up, let people come who want to work.
I mean, we go back to our industry. I mean, that's great. That's the passenger side current mode. I mean, we've been talking for decades about attraction and retention. I mean, IATA does a program. How successful is that? And yet we have got we've got the guys that look at numbers and as you said, are they enjoying the job, or are they just sitting behind a desk making sure they keep their arse clean by looking at the numbers and shouting to someone else? I remember times having real struggles getting cargo terminal managers out of their offices just to go on the shop floor. And sometimes I felt like I had to give them a map to tell them how to get there because it's been so long since they've been there. And that's a feel for it, isn't it? That's I want to do this, not, oh God, it's a job.
Yeah. Yeah, and also that's where it happens, is on the floor. The score is on the floor. It's not up in the offices, and the higher up the offices, the less scoring there's going to be.
Yeah, of course you need managers and everything, but the result is from a man on a forklift truck, not a man on a computer sending out sexy reports to the airline. The reports are going to look pretty bad if the man on the forklift truck doesn't do his job right. But we seem to be concentrating now on fancy IT solutions, fancy this and that. And we've forgotten that all of that is pointless without the man that works it.
Yep.
Or lady, by the way, sorry, or lady.
Person, yeah. Let me ask you something now, Rupert. If you had the chance now to start Rupert Handling, okay, what would be the things or the highlights that you'd put in the advert to try and attract youngsters to come and work for Rupert Handley?
I would say go and work in an Amazon fulfillment center because there's more money in it and you'll enjoy it more. No,
okay,
I know, but I mean, but again,
the honest answer. But
it's quite difficult to attract, isn't it?
But seriously, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. If you and me sat down now and we had to write a couple of lines so that we could get youngsters and we could say, right, you know, what sort of things do they want? Now, okay, money's important to a lot of people, but it's not the big motivator, it's not the big driver. And as we were talking earlier, it's definitely not the main reason why people leave a job. They leave because of the environment, because they don't like their boss, because, you know, there's bad atmosphere or whatever it is that's just toxic and they don't want to stay. So
I think you start with the people. They have to be, you promise them and you deliver training that allows them to confidently do their job in a safe way. You would say you would instill a safety culture in the business because it's all about safety. I think we lose sight of that, and nowadays we all say safety is number one priority, but really, is it really? When you come down to doing it, you can't offer them the sexiest environment in the world because a cargo terminal in the warehouse is an industrial site in a way. Yeah. But I think you have to map out how they can progress and have an opportunity for people to listen to be listened to. Where do you want to go next? Why do you want to do it? What can we do to help? But then you have to have movement, and so much is tied in. To be able to throw decent things to attract good people, you've got to earn good money, and we're not at the moment. We're paying bronze dollar, expecting gold service.
Yeah, I was talking to two young lads, right? One's 20, one's 24, and I asked them what do they think about the job. These are young lads, you know, they're playing sport, so just having a chat to them because they happen to be working for two companies that I know quite well. So I asked them what they do, and they said, "Yeah, no, it's all right." They said, "You know, when we make the work hard, we work hard, and then, you know, when we get the chance not to, we don't." And I just asked them about, you know, what sort of issues they were given, what sort of benefits, what sort of focus. Did anybody look after them and say, you know, this is where you could be in a few years? Would you be interested in improving your own self-worth, value, what asset value, whatever you want to say? No. All they're interested in is the now, this shift, and then can you do overtime for the next shift?
Yeah.
And as just said, because we've got so much choice, we can virtually say what we want to do when we want to do it. But they don't see a storyline or a journey attached to it, Rupert. They were saying that, you know, they'll do it as long as they like it, and then they'll move on and they'll do something else. Or if a better offer comes up beforehand, they'll do that. But at this moment in time, they like the shift work. They're able to.
Is there a mentality with a certain workforce level? You know, they're not. They just want to do the job to get the money and go home and not have to worry about it. That's the manager's job to go home and worry. And I don't see anything wrong in that. So you can't make people want to do better. They might be just quite happy coming in. It's 5 minutes down the road, nice shifts, pays all right, go home, don't have to worry about it. Feet up, watch Netflix with a fish supper. Wonderful. I don't think there's anything wrong in that.
No, exactly. I agree with you, Rupert. And that's the biggest proportion of people that companies should want to have that are happy to come to work, do a good job. And to be fair, they've probably got a better life outside because they've got no stress. They do the interests that they want to do. And you want that as the big core. And then obviously you need a few who want a little bit more of a career, etc. But you should have an environment where anybody can turn the switch on or off when they want for the right reasons.
But likewise, when they're in work, the forklift trucks have to have grip on them. They've got to feel safe at work. Their restroom has got to look nice, not like a shit tip, like some of them are. You know, I remember just once in a cargo terminal, all they did was paint the restroom and the productivity went up.
I know.
It's not rocket science and it's not expensive either. It's almost like just, you know, accept that's what they want to do. No, it's not. It's like in the UK, you know, one government decided everyone wanted to go to university. Well, no, they don't. Some people want to be plumbers, and by God, you can't get a good plumber for love nor money now, because all the rest of the would-be plumbers are in a university doing bloody hairdressing degrees. Pointless, you know? So you've got to realize that there's a good solid guy who just wants to do it, be looked after while he's there, doesn't really give a monkeys about the new contract win in Ouagadougou. Not really. His world is that cargo terminal and back home with his family.
Yeah. No, I agree, Rupert. And on your point, the two lads, when we started talking further, I said to him, I said, right, you know exactly what you're earning. It's none of my business. I said, but imagine if I came to you and I said, right, each one of you now can head up a group of 5, 6, 7, 10 lads or whatever, and you're all being paid and you know what you're able to produce and you know what's expected. Now, if I said I could give you 30% more, but you've got to produce so much more and you've got to look after your own quality and accuracy, would you be interested in doing that? And they said, yeah, of course we would. So I just feel that now is a perfect time to do something so different. And this is where, if we consider people capable of having, up skills, cross skills, new skills, so they can decide whether or not they want to do more work and get more money. They want to do the work that's expected for the money that's being applied at the moment. And given that opportunity, I think people would see it as a way of really, really improving their own self-worth and value, and seeing that you could make a good career out of it. And who knows, when people are given that sort of opportunity, the ideas and the innovation and the motivation brings other things to the fore.
But it goes all the way up. If there's nothing worse than promising someone a career progression and then it doesn't happen. So because you've lost a contract to someone who's done it cheaper than cheap. So those things can only come if you can deliver, and delivery means you've got to have some money to pay for it. I just think the culture of bronze dollar gold service expectation has got to finish. It's got to stop. It's unsustainable.
Which I think people are seeing now with this rapid rise in inflation across every single sector and every single service and every single product. And that's going to also be for handling. And if you expect certain services, which you should do, they should be able to be applied, which is why succession management and giving people the opportunity to step into people's shoes ahead of time so they can see whether they enjoy it or whether it's too much stress or whatever is so important.
I don't think anyone does enough on decent succession management. Because it's a magic word of fear, isn't it? If I start grooming someone for my job, but they might take it before I want to leave, so just leave them there. I don't know. I mean, that's a bit over the top, but
But that does happen, Rupert.
Someone leaves a company and they start going, "Oh, we're going to go internal. We're going to go external. That guy's moved on. They're headless now while they work out what to do with who." That happens all the time.
And a lot of holding people back because they're so good at what they do, and you don't want to risk losing them for something else because nobody might be there to fill their place. But
that's that magic word, fear, again, isn't it? Fear is at all levels of what we do. Whether it's a commercial fear, promotional fear, fear to stand out from your peers. I don't know, whatever. Fear. I don't know. I don't know how you kill it.
It's a crazy thing, isn't it? Because, you know what I mean? You only get one shot at this game, and the one thing that you shouldn't have really is fear, isn't it? You should be able to be outspoken. You should be able to be upfront, obviously, as long as it's positive. But yeah, no, fear should definitely not be the thing that's holding people back now, because after everything that's happened with COVID and now with poor old Ukraine and things that are happening and impacting on the whole world, this is the time now to wipe the slate clean and do things differently and make sure you're doing well.
It's just a mindset that we've got. I remember an airline said, "I don't have enough visibility." So we designed push reports that he got daily, on performance. A month later, he said, "My inbox is too full. Could you just stop sending them?" So that leads me back to what you need to know about your shipment rather than what you think you want. I remember you said to me when we were in Etihad one day, I've always remembered it. You came in and you said, "You're sending all these reports to all these people. Just stop. Just stop the lot. And then see who comes back and actually says, where's my report? And that's part of it. People just feel knowledge is power and I've got it just in case. And half of them, as you quite rightly expected, didn't come back. So he never sent that report again. And that guy could be doing something useful now.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, Rupert. There's far too much. And again, coming back to this, like, prioritize. If you prioritize, it means you stop doing things. It doesn't mean you still do everything, but in a different order. You stop doing certain things because they're not important, or they're not relevant, or they're not the most critical to do, or they won't have a big impact on the business. Just stop doing the damn things.
This is a great, that's a great one. And the converse to that, again, in Etihad, because there were commercial imperatives, I remember seeing a flight load plan, of 17 ton for an A330 with a 15 ton uplift, and everything was priority one.
Yep.
What the hell's that about? That's unachievable. So who's oversold it? And you can't have everything as priority one. So no one's even thinking. They're just promising the world. So we shoot ourselves in the foot again.
There's lots of simple things that could be taken out of the way things were and the way things are. But equally, data-driven decision making, like you said at the very beginning, that's relevant and valid. But it's just some of the numbers that people keep banding around that at the end of the day don't mean diddly squat to the customer.
Exactly. I mean, I guess 20 years ago, the integrators thought exactly what they should put on their track and traces. Yes. No flight numbers, just key delivery points, out to delivery. And yes, I buy online now from Amazon, and I get a couple of messages saying it's out for delivery. It'll be delivered today. That's all I want. Yeah, that's all I want. Not it's in this shed and it's been in location 226 Alpha for 2 hours and now it's moved to this location and it'll be out soon. Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. Lot to be said for what could and should be done.
I had a delivery of a washing machine the other day from a company called AO. And they were brilliant. They pumped information. Are you ready? This is what you've got to do before we get there. Can I get it in? Are we going up steps? They're doing a bit of thinking, and you need to be ready, and we'll be there within this 4-hour slot time. And they were, and their lads were in and out in 2 minutes. It was brilliant. Maximum data for impact of service delivery. That's all I got from them, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's the sort of good news story we need in our industry. Yeah, AO. I'll have to think what that stands for. What did you say there? Maximum. What did you say there? Maximum what?
Oh, I invented that off the hoof. I can't remember what I just said.
Maximum data.
So almost like the maximum data you require for a positive service delivery outcome, whatever you want to call it. So they told you what you needed to do, and when they were going to do what they were going to do, they stood by what they said, and they did it, and they were in and out in 20 minutes. Brilliant. Because we were all ready, because they fed information that was required, not all the fluff that some people give you that doesn't help you.
True enough. Plenty to do, my friend. Plenty to do, but the industry is worthwhile, and if we can just get people to, however we come up with a different sort of attraction notice or whatever it is, we need to do it, because we've got to get good people back in, and like I said at the very beginning, learn to love the game again.
As soon as you say aviation, people think they're going to go on a plane and go to Florida and stuff like that. Well, I'm afraid the guy in the warehouse is never going to make it to Florida, right? That's not the way it is. So I don't know. Do we sometimes oversell? I don't think we in cargo do. I've always thought about passenger airlines in years gone by. Yeah. So you've got an advert for a big network carrier on the telly, and what do they show you on the telly? They show you their first class product, of course. Yeah. So the dedicated check-in, live flatbed. So you go, great, I'm going on that airline. I'll book. Here we go. And then you get into economy. So to me, that was always an oversell. The expectation now is this is going to be sexy, because most people only go away once a year for their 2 weeks in Tenerife. Yeah. We're spoiled. We're spoiled.
Yeah.
Traveled the world.
Yeah.
We
No,
really
right.
are spoiled. Yeah. I hate sitting in sort of like open cafes and stuff with airline people, because people next to you overhear you when you start saying, oh yeah, last time I was in Rome, I met Fred, and then we had this conference over in Singapore, and they go, you arrogant bunch of, but it's not. That's just what we do.
Yeah. No,
But
you're
the
right.
average person,
It's there's some golden times, but equally, I know you said there about the warehouseman's not going to get to Florida, but some of the lads I worked with in Lufthansa in the warehouse, they're all over the world now.
Yeah.
And they're doing really well. And that's the beauty of this industry, is if you are one of the ones who wants to take advantage of the opportunities, it's an incredibly good platform to do something.
One of the concerns is what's missing. In those days, those lads had opportunities within the company. You had that big training center in Zeeheim. There were training programs. It was Lufthansa. They're famous for all of this. If you're a little company now that's been drilled down to minimum wage, and the training package is on the job or whatever, i.e. learning the last guy's bad habits. I hate on the job, unless you've got a dedicated trainer doing on the job, but not the mate you sit next to, which is what happens. Learn from him. He's been there 30 years. He'll teach you all the ways not to do it. It was a really sad, something I saw on YouTube or Facebook. Someone posted the inside of the British Airways training centre at Cranebank, which shut years ago, right?
Oh yeah, like the ghost building.
Trees growing in it. And I just thought, what a shame, because I did a lot of my learning in that building. We paid to go on British Airways training courses.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a lot of my learning there. And now look at it. It's not even there anymore. It's rotting.
Yeah, no, I must admit, Rupert, when I joined Lufthansa, they got all these guys, and they're saying how hard the job, and I was thinking this is like no problem at all, And then they said you're not made permanent in the job until you go to Zeeheim for 4 weeks. 4 weeks for an A1 course. And all I can remember thinking was, oh God, that's 4 games of football I'm going to miss, and the midweek, all this sort of stuff. But I tell you, when I got there, it was incredible. And what you learn, and you see all these other people, and international mixing and stuff. It was absolutely fantastic. And that training stayed with everybody. I don't think there was anybody who ever came to Lufthansa and did a full training series that didn't really appreciate how good it was.
But is it all still there? I mean, British Airways used to sell their training product third party, and then they stopped that years and years and years ago. So
yeah, a lot of people do that, but I think even in the training game now, Rupert, it's more of numbers and certificates rather than value and whether it's actually building competence. And I think there's a bit too much overemphasis now on like I said, tick box against a compliance or an audit that you've done the training. But if you're not putting it into practice and people aren't seeing the benefit and there's no return on investment of the training, then you have to question the value of it.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that's almost a subject in itself, is the tick box culture of a audit or a training validation. Let's do all your training online, and if you get it wrong, you can have 3 more goes until you pass.
Yeah,
that's not training.
Exactly, Rupert.
That's not training.
Exactly, it's just a memory test or a memory game.
That's terrible.
Exactly.
That's what's happening now.
Exactly, mate. Well, listen, as always, it's lovely to talk to you. And I think the most important thing we said right at the beginning is it's about being positive about the opportunities and learning from the past.
Yeah, I do seem to come over a bit negative. I'm surely not going to I'm not going to share my home address with anyone. I might have someone come and get a hitman to get me.
Nah, Rupert. Anybody that's ever worked with you has got a huge amount of respect, and more so for the fact that good, bad, or indifferent, pressure or no pressure, you always spoke up for what you felt was right, and in most cases it was. And what you've got to do now, just stay perfectly still now. And when you look back at this, I want you to look at what looks like you're wearing the biggest set of earrings anybody I've ever seen is wearing. Listen, mate, it's always a pleasure, Rupert, honestly.
And with you, Chris.
And I look back with great fondness about the days we had together back in the desert.
And we'll have Ambridge back next time as well. Should be good.
Yeah, we get him off the golf course.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Take care of yourself. God bless.
Thanks a lot.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
See you. Bye, Chris. Bye.
Cheers now. Bye.